Most men think making a woman miss you means pulling away, acting cold, or pretending not to care. That's not only wrong, it's the fastest way to lose emotional connection. Because when a woman truly misses a man, it has nothing to do with games. It has nothing to do with disappearing, and it has nothing to do with pretending you're someone you're not. It happens because of emotional imprint. And emotional imprint is created quietly, naturally, and without force. If you've ever wondered why a woman suddenly thinks about a man long after he's gone, replaying moments in her head, feeling a strange pull she can't explain, this video will show you why that happens and how to create it without manipulation. Most men try to be remembered by doing more, talking more, texting more, explaining more. But women don't miss what is always present. They miss what felt complete and then stepped away naturally. This is the first truth you need to understand. A woman doesn't miss attention. She misses how she felt in your presence. And that feeling is shaped long before you leave. If you want to make a woman miss you, you don't start by leaving. You start by how you show up when you're there. Most men show up emotionally scattered. They're trying to impress. They're monitoring her reactions. They're adjusting themselves in real time. And that creates emotional noise. Noise does not linger. Clarity does. When a man is emotionally grounded, when his presence is calm and self-contained, it creates a sense of safety and depth. And depth is what stays with her after the interaction ends. This is why some men can say very little, spend a short amount of time with a woman, and still leave a lasting impression, while others are constantly available and forgotten almost immediately. Being missed has nothing to do with availability. It has everything to do with emotional quality. Here's something most men never realize. A woman begins to miss you when her mind feels unfinished around you. Not confused, not anxious, but gently incomplete. When she feels there was more to explore, more to understand, more to experience. This doesn't come from withholding information, it comes from emotional pacing. Most men emotionally rush. They reveal too much too fast. They express feelings before she has time to develop her own. And when everything is laid out immediately, there is nothing left for her mind to return to. A woman misses what she is still processing. That's why restraint matters so much. Not cold restraint, not calculated restraint, natural restraint that comes from self-respect. When you don't rush connection, when you allow moments to breathe, when you don't force emotional outcomes, you give her space to feel. And feelings need space. Another critical mistake men make is trying to be unforgettable by being intense. They think strong emotion creates attachment. But intensity without grounding creates overwhelm. And overwhelmed minds don't miss, they recover. What women miss is calm emotional presence. The man who made her feel relaxed. The man who didn't pressure her. The man who listened without needing to be heard constantly. That calm presence becomes a reference point. She goes back into her life, into her routine, into interactions with other men who are rushed, reactive, and eager. And suddenly, something feels different. She remembers the contrast. And contrast is what creates longing. This is why making a woman miss you starts internally, not externally. If you need constant contact to feel secure, she will feel it. If you need reassurance to stay calm, she will sense it. If you fear silence or distance, it will show. And those emotional signals erase longing before it ever forms. A woman misses a man who was emotionally complete without her. Not distant, not unavailable, complete. That completeness allows her to relax into the interaction instead of feeling responsible for your emotional state. When a woman feels emotionally free around you, she associates you with relief. And relief is deeply memorable. This is also why playing games never works long-term. Games create confusion, not depth. Confusion creates anxiety. Anxiety does not create healthy longing. The men women truly miss are not strategists, they are stable. They don't disappear dramatically, they don't test reactions, they don't create artificial distance, They simply live full lives and let interactions end naturally. And natural endings are powerful. When a moment ends without being dragged, without being forced, without being extended out of fear, it leaves a clean emotional imprint. A clean ending invites reflection. Reflection invites memory. And memory is the foundation of missing someone. If you've ever noticed that the people you think about the most are not the ones who demanded attention, but the ones who felt calm and genuine, this is why. Missing someone is not an act of will. It's a psychological response to emotional quality. And the rest of this video will show you exactly how to create that quality consistently, without acting cold, without disappearing, and without playing games. Because when you understand this, you stop trying to be missed, and instead, you become unforgettable. If you want a woman to miss you, you need to understand how emotional memory is actually formed. Emotional memory does not come from frequency. It comes from contrast. Most men think being present all the time builds connection. In reality, constant presence flattens emotion. When everything is available, nothing is valued. A woman misses you when your presence created a distinct emotional state that her mind wants to return to. That emotional state is usually calm, safe, and subtly stimulating. Not excitement, not drama, not intensity. Those burn fast and disappear. What lingers is emotional grounding. This is why men who are always joking, always entertaining, always trying to keep energy high, often leave no lasting imprint. They flood the interaction, and flooded emotions don't echo. A grounded man does something very different. He creates emotional clarity. When he's with her, she feels relaxed. She feels understood. She feels unpressured. Then when he leaves, that clarity is suddenly gone. That absence is what her mind notices, not because he vanished, but because the emotional environment changed. This is the key distinction most men miss. You don't make a woman miss you by removing yourself. You make her miss you by removing a feeling she enjoyed. If you never created that feeling in the first place, distance does nothing. This is why disappearing tactics fail. Distance without emotional value creates relief, not longing. Another crucial element is emotional leadership. In every interaction, one person is emotionally regulating the space. Most men give this role away. They mirror her moods. They react to her energy. They let her emotional state determine theirs. This makes her feel unconsciously responsible for how you feel, and responsibility kills desire. A woman misses the man who was emotionally steady regardless of her state. If she was excited, he didn't escalate uncontrollably. If she was quiet, he didn't panic. If she was distant, he didn't chase. His emotional state remained consistent. That consistency becomes a psychological anchor. Later, when she feels emotional fluctuations in her life, her mind remembers the man who felt stable. Stability is rare, and rare experiences are remembered. This is also why emotional pacing matters so much. Most men rush emotional connection because they are afraid of losing momentum. They think if they don't keep pushing, interest will fade. But emotion does not work like momentum. It works like absorption. Feelings need time to settle. When you rush, nothing settles. When you slow down, emotions sink deeper. A woman misses a man when her feelings haven't fully processed yet. Her mind continues the interaction in his absence. That only happens when you leave space. Space is not distance. Space is non-urgency. It's not asking for reassurance. It's not forcing clarity. It's not defining things too early. It's allowing ambiguity to exist comfortably. Healthy ambiguity creates reflection. Reflection creates emotional continuation. Another reason men fail to be missed is over-availability. Availability itself is not unattractive, but emotional over-availability is. When you are always emotionally accessible, always responsive, always adjusting, you remove the opportunity for longing. Longing requires absence of something meaningful, and emotional over-availability removes meaning. A grounded man does not withhold affection, he simply does not overflow it. He gives presence fully when he's there, and then he returns to his life. That rhythm creates emotional contrast. Contrast is what makes memory vivid. There's also something important about how interactions end. Most men drag endings because they are afraid of losing connection. They extend conversations unnecessarily. They keep texting late into the night. They try to squeeze out one more moment. This weakens emotional impact. Strong emotional experiences end cleanly. When an interaction ends naturally, without desperation, it leaves a clear emotional edge. That edge is what the mind returns to. A woman misses the man who left at the right moment, not abruptly, not dramatically, but intentionally. This communicates self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. Another overlooked factor is emotional permission. When you are emotionally stable, you give her permission to feel freely. She doesn't need to manage your reactions. She doesn't need to reassure you. She doesn't need to protect your ego. That freedom is deeply attractive, and freedom is deeply missed once it's gone. Most men unknowingly burden women emotionally. They require reassurance, they seek validation, they react to small changes. And women don't miss burdens, they miss relief. If being around you felt like relief, your absence will be noticed. This is the truth most men never hear. Missing someone is not about wanting them back. It's about wanting the emotional state they created. And that emotional state must be real, calm, and unforced. In the next stretch of this video, we'll go even deeper into how your behavior, timing, and communication either strengthen or destroy this emotional memory, and why most men sabotage themselves right when things are going well, because understanding how not to interfere is just as important as knowing what to do. And once you understand that, making a woman miss you becomes effortless. At this stage, it's important to understand that making a woman miss you is less about what you do and more about what you don't interrupt. Most men interrupt emotional memory without realizing it. They sense connection forming and immediately try to secure it. They label it, they define it, they seek confirmation, and in doing so, they collapse the very space where longing is supposed to grow. When a woman begins to miss you, it usually starts quietly. She replays a moment, a tone of voice, a feeling she had when she was around you. That replay happens because her mind is still processing the interaction. But the moment you rush in with excessive messaging, reassurance, or emotional disclosure, you end that processing prematurely. You give her closure before longing has a chance to form. Closure feels good in the moment, but it kills desire. Desire lives in openness. This is why restraint is one of the most misunderstood qualities in attraction. Restraint is not coldness, it is emotional discipline. It's the ability to enjoy connection without needing to own it. A man with emotional discipline does not chase reassurance when things feel good. He allows goodness to stand on its own. And that self-trust is deeply attractive. Another subtle but powerful factor is how you handle uncertainty. Most men are uncomfortable with uncertainty. They want to know where they stand. They want clarity. They want guarantees. But emotional connection does not grow through certainty. It grows through curiosity. When you rush clarity, you trade curiosity for control, and control is not missed. A woman misses what she is still discovering. This is why over-defining things too early flattens emotion, not because commitment is bad, but because timing matters. Depth must come before definition. Another reason women don't miss most men is predictability of emotional need. If she knows exactly how you'll react to everything, there is no emotional tension. Emotional tension is not conflict, it is contrast. It's the feeling that there is more beneath the surface. A man who remains emotionally grounded yet slightly unreadable gives her something to explore mentally, not through mystery tactics, but through self-containment. He doesn't narrate his inner world constantly. He doesn't explain every feeling. He allows his presence to speak, and presence is far more memorable than explanation. There is also something important about how you listen. Most men listen in order to respond. They wait for their turn to speak. They listen for openings. A grounded man listens to understand. When a woman feels fully heard, Without being analyzed or fixed, her nervous system relaxes. Relaxation creates emotional bonding, and emotional bonding is remembered. This is why women often miss men who didn't say much but made them feel understood. Understanding is rare, and rare experiences are revisited in memory. Another mistake men make is trying to maintain emotional momentum through constant interaction. They believe if communication slows, interest will fade. In reality, emotional momentum is internal. It builds when the mind continues an experience after it ends. Constant interaction stops that continuation. It replaces memory with noise. A woman misses the man whose absence gives her mind room to wander. This also explains why emotional independence is essential. If you rely on her presence to feel stable, she will feel that weight. And weight is not missed. Lightness is missed. A man who is emotionally independent enjoys connection but does not require it. This allows interactions to feel free rather than obligated. Freedom creates attachment. Obligation creates resistance. Another powerful but overlooked factor is emotional congruence. Your words, tone, pace, and behavior must align. If you say you're calm but act anxious, she feels the anxiety. If you say you're confident but seek reassurance, she feels the insecurity. A woman misses a man whose inner state matches his outer behavior. Consistency builds trust. Trust allows emotional imprint to deepen, and deep imprints don't fade easily. This is also why authenticity matters more than technique. Techniques feel scripted. Presence feels real. A woman can forget what you said. She does not forget how real the interaction felt. When something feels real, it becomes a reference point, and reference points are revisited mentally. That revisiting is missing. Another critical element is how you exit interactions emotionally. Not physically leaving, but how you disengage emotionally. Most men linger emotionally even after interactions end. They replay messages, they seek reassurance, they hover mentally. A grounded man lets interactions end cleanly. He enjoys them fully, then releases them. That release allows emotional memory to settle naturally. Clinging disrupts that process. Letting go completes it, and completion invites return. This is the paradox. The man who can let go without fear is the man most likely to be missed because he did not need the connection to feel whole. And wholeness is deeply attractive. As this understanding settles, you begin to realize something important. Making a woman miss you is not an action. It is a byproduct of emotional integrity. When you're emotionally regulated, present, and self-contained, you naturally create experiences that linger. And lingering experiences create longing. Without games, without disappearing, without pretending, just by being grounded. And once you truly internalize this, the rest becomes effortless. Now we need to talk about communication, because this is where emotional memory is either protected or destroyed. Most men assume that once attraction exists, communication should increase. More texts, more calls, more explanations. But emotional memory doesn't grow through volume. It grows through precision. Every unnecessary message weakens the imprint. Every emotional explanation flattens depth. Every attempt to reassure removes mystery. A woman misses the man who communicates with intention, not compulsion. This doesn't mean being distant, it means being deliberate. When you speak, it has weight. When you reach out, it has meaning. When you respond, it feels grounded. That rhythm creates emotional trust. Texting is the clearest example. Texting should never replace presence. It should only point back to it. Short messages that carry calm energy are powerful. Long messages that carry emotional overflow are not. If you feel the urge to explain how you feel, slow down. That urge is usually anxiety trying to regain control. A grounded man does not need to emotionally update someone to feel secure. He allows emotions to live where they were created, not where they are repeated. Another subtle mistake men make is emotional checking. They ask questions designed to measure interest. They look for reassurance hidden inside casual conversation. They try to confirm emotional safety. Women feel this instantly. Emotional checking shifts the dynamic. It turns connection into evaluation. And evaluation kills longing. A woman misses the man who didn't need confirmation to remain calm. That calm communicates strength without words. There is also something important about timing. Not strategic timing, not artificial delays, natural timing. Responding when you are genuinely available signals a full life. Responding immediately every time signals emotional dependence. Emotional dependence creates pressure. Pressure suffocates desire. A man with emotional independence enjoys connection, but does not revolve around it. That balance is rare, and rarity is remembered. Another place where men sabotage being missed is through emotional escalation. They feel closeness and assume it needs to grow faster. They push intimacy verbally. They push emotional labels. They push future talk. This collapses emotional anticipation. Anticipation is what creates longing. A woman misses the man who allowed emotions to unfold instead of forcing them forward. This doesn't mean avoiding depth. It means letting depth arrive naturally. There is also the matter of emotional containment. Most men emotionally leak. They react to small changes in tone. They overanalyze silence. They internalize delay as rejection. That leakage shows up in their communication. A grounded man contains his emotional state. He doesn't project assumptions. He doesn't dramatize small shifts. He remains steady. Steadiness creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is deeply missed once it's gone. Another key factor is how you handle moments of distance. Distance is inevitable. Busy days, shifting moods, life events. Most men see distance as danger. They rush to close it. But distance, handled correctly, deepens emotional memory. If distance arrives and you remain calm, you signal trust in the connection. If distance arrives and you panic, you signal fragility. A woman misses the man who trusted the connection enough not to smother it. Trust is felt, and feeling trusted creates attachment. There is also something powerful about emotional generosity. Not overgiving, not sacrificing, but being fully present when you are present. When you are with her, you are attentive, you listen fully, you engage sincerely, and then you leave without clinging. That contrast between full presence and clean absence is unforgettable. Most men are half present and constantly lingering. That creates emotional blur. Blur is not missed. Clarity is. This brings us to one of the most important truths. You cannot force someone to miss you. You can only avoid interfering with the process. Interference looks like anxiety. Interference looks like urgency. Interference looks like emotional overexposure. When you remove interference, emotional memory forms on its own. And when emotional memory forms naturally, it returns on its own. That return is missing. At this point, the pattern should be clear. The men women miss are not the ones who did the most. They're the ones who remained the most grounded. They didn't chase reassurance. They didn't demand attention. They didn't cling emotionally. They trusted themselves. And that self-trust created an emotional echo that lingered long after the interaction ended. In the final stretch of this video, everything will come together. You'll understand how presence, restraint, communication, and conversation itself combine into one complete dynamic, and why mastering how you speak and listen quietly determines whether emotional memory fades or deepens over time. Because missing someone is not magic, it is psychology done correctly. At this point, you should see the full picture clearly. Making a woman miss you was never about distance, it was never about disappearing, and it was never about playing hard to get. It was always about the emotional state you created when you were present. Women don't miss men who tried hard. They miss men who felt calm, grounded and complete. They miss the man who didn't rush the moment, the man who didn't force clarity, the man who didn't make them responsible for his emotional stability. What lingers is not words, it's not compliments, it's not constant communication. What lingers is the feeling of emotional ease. When a woman feels emotionally at ease with you, her nervous system associates you with relief, and relief is rare. She goes back into her life and encounters stress, noise, urgency, and emotional pressure. And without trying, you become the contrast. Not because you were absent, but because your presence was different. This is why emotional memory is so powerful. Her mind doesn't replay the entire interaction, it replays fragments. A moment of eye contact, a called response, the way you listened without interrupting, the way you didn't need anything from her. Those fragments carry emotional weight, and emotional weight pulls attention back naturally. This is also why authenticity matters more than technique. If you try to act detached, it feels hollow. If you try to follow rules mechanically, it feels artificial. But when you are genuinely grounded, restraint happens naturally. You don't overshare because you don't need to. You don't chase reassurance because you trust yourself. You don't cling because you're already full. That fullness is what women feel, and fullness creates longing. Another important truth is this: a woman does not miss you because you want her to. She misses you because her emotional system hasn't closed the experience yet. Closure ends longing. Openness sustains it. When you allow interactions to end without forcing resolution, you leave space for her mind to return to them. That return is missing. This is why men who are comfortable letting things unfold are so memorable. They don't pressure outcomes, they don't demand answers, they don't rush the emotional process. They trust that what is real doesn't need to be forced, and that trust is felt deeply. If there is one mindset to take away from this entire video, let it be this: you don't need to make a woman miss you, you need to stop interfering with the process that naturally makes her do it. Remove neediness, remove urgency, remove emotional overexposure, remove fear of silence and distance. What remains is presence, and presence is powerful. When your presence is calm, your absence becomes noticeable. When your presence is grounded, your absence creates reflection. When your presence is self-contained, your absence creates longing. That is how missing happens without games. Now, if you want to take this understanding further, there is one video you should watch next. In this video, we focused on emotional presence, restraint, and memory. But emotional memory is ultimately locked in through how you communicate in real conversations, how you speak, how you listen, how you respond without chasing, and how you hold silence without discomfort. That is exactly what I break down in my video called How to Talk to Women and Dominate the Conversation Quietly. That video shows you how to translate this grounded presence into actual conversations that feel effortless, natural, and deeply engaging. Watch that next. Because when emotional presence and conversation skill align, you don't have to try to be missed. You simply are.